On that particular day, the 15th day of January, 1974, can you tell me where you went to kill Mr. Joseph Otero?
It's 1834. Edgemont.
All right. Can you tell me approximately what time of day you went there?
Somewhere between 7 and 7:30.
This particular location, did you know these people?
No, that's well, that was part of my, I guess my what's called fantasy. These people were selected.
So you were engaged in some kind of fantasy during this period of time?
Yes, sir.
When you use the term fantasy, is this something you were doing for your personal pleasure?
Sexual fantasy, sir.
See. So you went to this residence, and what occurred there?
Well, I had did some thinking on what I was going to do to either Mrs. Otero or Josephine. Basically broke into the house, or didn't break into the house, but when they came out of the house, I came in front of the family and went from there.
Had you planned this beforehand?
To some degree, yes. After I got in the house, I lost control of it, but it was, in the back of my mind, I had some ideas what I was going to do. And I just basically panicked that first day. So.
Beforehand, did you know who was there in the house?
I thought Mrs. Otero and the two kids, the two younger kids were in the house. I didn't realize Mr. Otero was going to be there.
All right. How did you get into the house?
I came to the back door, cut the phone lines, made it to the back door, had reservations about even going or just walking away, but first the door opened and I was in.
All right. So the door opened. Was it open for you?
I think one of the kids, I think the junior, yes, the younger, Joseph opened the door. He probably let the dog out, because the dog was in the house.
All right, when you went into the house, what happened then?
Well, I confronted the family, pulled a pistol in front of Mr. Otero, and asked him to, that I was there to, basically, I was wanted to get the car. Hungry, food, I was wanted, and asked him to lie down in the living room. And at that time, I realized that wasn't a really good idea. So the dog was a real problem. So I asked Mr. Otero if he could get the dog out. So he had one of the kids put it out. I took him back to the bedroom.
You took who back to the bedroom?
The family, the bedroom, the 4 members.
All right, what happened then?
At that time, I tied him up.
While still holding the gun?
Well, in between tying and yes.
All right, after you tied him up,
Well, they started complaining about being tied up, and re-releasing the bonds a couple of times. Tried to make Mr. Otero as comfortable as I could. Apparently had a cracked rib from a car accident, so I had him put a pillow down for his head. They put a cardboard coat underneath him. They talked to me about giving the car and everything. I guess they didn't have very much money. There I realized that I was already, I didn't have a mask on or anything. They already had ID'd me, and made a decision to go ahead and put them down.
all right, what did you do to Joseph Otero?
Justice Otero?
Did Joseph Otero see Mr. Otero?
I put a plastic bag over his head. I did some cords. I tightened it.
This was in the bedroom.
Yes, sir.
Did he, in fact, suffocate the eyes?
Not right away. No, sir. He didn't.
What happened?
Well, after that, I did Mrs. Otero. I had never strangled anyone before, so I really didn't know how much pressure it would put, so how long it would take.
Was she also tied up there?
But yes, yeah, both her hands and their feet. She was on the bed.
Where were the children?
Josephine was on the bed and Junior was on the floor this time.
So we're talking first of all about Joseph Otero. So you put the bag over his head and tied him. He did not die right away. Can you tell me what happened in regards to Joseph?
He moved over real quick, like, and I think tore a hole in the bag, and you could tell that he was having some problems there. But at that time, the whole family just went panic.
You worked pretty quick.
Well, I mean, I strangled Mrs. Otero, and she went out, or passed out. I thought she was dead. She passed out. And I strangled Josephine. She passed out. Well, I thought she was dead. And then I went over and put a bag on Junior's head. And then, if I remember right, Mrs. Otero came back. She came back and...
Sir, let me ask you about Joseph Otero Sr. You
Senior?
indicated he had torn a hole in the bag. And what did you do with him then?
I put another bag over it, or either that or if I recollect, I think I put either a cloth or a t-shirt or something over his head, and then another bag. And then tied it down.
Did he subsequently die?
Well, yes. Yeah. I mean, I didn't just stay there and watch him, but I was moving around the room.
Right, so you indicated you strangled Mrs. Otero after you had done this, is that correct?
Yeah, I went back and strangled her again. That finally killed her at that time.
So this is in regards to count 2. You first of all put the bag over Joseph Otero's head. You tore a hole in the bag. Then you went ahead. Did you strangle Mrs. Otero then? Or did you go
First of all, Mr. Otero was strangled, or a bag put over his head and strangled. Then I thought he was going down. I went over and strangled Mrs. Otero. I thought she was down. Then I strangled Josephine. Thought she was down. And then I went over to Junior and put the bag on his head. After that, Mrs. Otero woke back up, and she was pretty upset what's going on. So I came back, and at that point in time, strangled her with a death strangle at that time.
with your hands or what?
No, with a cord, with a rope. And then I think at that point in time, I redid Mr. Otero's, put the bag over his head, went over, and then Junior. Before that, she asked me to save her son. So I actually had taken the bag off, and then I was really upset at that point in time. So basically, when Mr. Otero was down, Mrs. Otero was down, I went ahead and Junior put the bag on his head and took him to the elevator.
What did you do then?
Put a bag over his head, put a cloth over his head, t-shirt, and a bag, so he couldn't put a hole in it. Back, Josephine had woke back up. Took her to the basement. Eventually,
Hung her in the basement.
yes, sir.
Did you do anything else at that point?
Yes, I had some sexual fantasies. That was after she was
All right. What did you do then?
I went through the house, kind of cleaned it up. On the right hand of the room, picked everything up. I think I took Mr. Otero's watch. I guess I took a radio. I forgot about that, but apparently I took a radio.
Why did you take these things?
I don't know.
What happened then?
Got the keys to the car. In fact, I had the keys, I think, earlier before that, because I wanted to make sure I had a way of getting out of the house. Cleaned the house up a little bit, made sure everything was packed up, and left through the front door. And went over to their car, and then drove over to Dillon's, left the car there, then eventually walked back to my car.
All right. Now, sir, from what you have just said,
Well, let's just do one here. I mean, this guy, obviously, we got to start coming. And I think we might, it's a long shot, it's a pretty long shot, but you might be able to get something out of it. At least some of that so-called tangible evidence that might be of some value not only to you, but to others. And maybe a bit of information, even if you don't find anything else, that might be of some value to families. So we'll do, I understand that the basic cross site, which I could describe to you, we've described to me, there were three, remains of three individuals found, two identified men, because of so few, the kinds of remains that were found were so few unidentified. What do you want? Where this description of the site first, how to get there, and you just don't make this up. Maybe half a mile, quarter mile down this side road, if you kept on flying all the way down, oh, Lord knows where the creatures that live, the animals. Well, let me start. This is where I'm going to put the presence of the opposite some of this evidence yeah, but I'm not thinking you would have found that on that other people. You would have found, probably would have found the jaw of the teeth. But if you found that, you would know. But anyway, I don't know. The only reason you're asking that question, moving it using a briefcase and some crutches, and the gentleman I saw him walk around the north end of the block into the alley and stop for a moment and then keep on walking down the alley toward me. And about halfway down the block, I encountered her and asked her to help me carry the briefcase, which she did, and we walked back up the alley, across the street, turned right on the sidewalk in front of, I think, the fraternity house on the corner there. Rounded the corner to the left, going north on 47th. Well, midway in the block, there used to be one of those parking lots they used to make out of burned down houses in that area. Way to the
which ruse would work with which woman. I mean, you had to have a way of feeling them out and saying, I think ruse number 1, 2, 3 will work with this woman. Tell me, explain that process to me.
One of them was, as I they would, when we would get in the car,
She's already in
she's in the car, let's say she's always in the car, driving down the road, and she wants to see my ID. So I whip out my ID, and with my ID would be I put my finger over my driver's license to hide my name. But on the opposite side was pictures. And a picture of my son. And then she could see my son, and they would know I was a probably normal person.
But you were really using your son as part of your ruse.
At the time, I didn't want to picture my ex-wife there, so I had to picture my son.
Sure, you had to make it sound good.
I had a driver's license on one side, my ID, and then when I showed mine, and then the next picture was with my son, so that was, and in the vehicle I had some, always had some, not always, but had some of my son's stuff in there, you know, that he left in there, or some Star Wars or something like that, you know, so it was like a family setting.
In your vehicle.
Yeah, so every time I opened up my wallet, there would be a picture of my son on one side, you know, behind my ID. There's my ID. I hide my name, flip it over, and there's my ID and my son's picture on the back side. And they'd see that, and that would lower any big defenses. And, you know, kids' toys, 8-year-old toys on the dash.
The only thing that would be better than that would be to have your son in the car with you. That would be a incredible ruse.
That happened once.
What happened?
It was July 18th, I think it was my brother's birthday. That weekend I picked up a woman on back highway, and Matthew was next to me in the seat, and she hopped in, and I took her over to in the South Airport area, and took her into an area, and my son was there, and I killed her. I'm real sure my son didn't see it, but that only happened one time.
But that was a pretty good ruse. So why didn't you do it again?
Well, for one thing, I didn't want my son to see it.